Hi everybody, welcome to today's FindTheBestCarPrice.com video. Today we're going to look at the Jaguar F-Pace R Dynamic S SUV, a model that received some minor refresh changes for the 2021 model year, exterior and interior wise. The model we're looking at in today's video has a sticker price of $75,085. Let's get started with our tour. And with a head-on view of the 21 F-Pace, obviously, if you're a keen-eyed observer, it probably doesn't take much to see some of the changes. It does have a lot to do with the double J blade headlights. I'll give you a good view of what that looks like in action. Had enough shadow to be able to do that, even out here in the sunlight, but that's not the only change here. You're going to notice a wider and deeper front grille. Of course, you're going to still have that logo right there to let you know this is the R Dynamic S model. And of course, wider vents right here. And another big change that you might not notice until somebody points it out, just not something you would think of. On the 2020 version, when compared to the 21, as far as the hood goes, there was actually a little bit of space between where the hood shut, and it was about right here. And now that line is directly above the grille, giving it a little bit better, more of a seamless look compared to what it had in previous years. And as far as the front end goes, the front fenders, the left and right front fenders, you're going to notice that that vent, or faux vent we'll say, on the side, it's not actually functional, but that's okay, it is what it is. But now you're going to notice that the word Jaguar is no longer there. It's the Jaguar Leaper that takes its place. If you like superchargers, I've got good news for you. This is a supercharged engine. If you like turbochargers, I've got good news for you too. This is also a turbocharged engine. And unless you're a strong, pro-modified Stevie Fast Jackson fan, you're probably going to be happy with this engine, even with the turbocharger being part of it. If you don't know what I'm talking about, look it up on YouTube. You'll find out very quickly. It's a 3-liter supercharged and turbocharged 6-cylinder, 395 horsepower, 406 pound-feet of torque, and makes its way to the ground through all-wheel drive. So a lot of stability there, a lot of safety that comes along with driving in all sorts of driving conditions. You literally have a driving mode for every type of potential driving condition, including snow and ice. And I've actually driven one of these in some very heavy snow and on solid ice, no problem at all, as long as you keep your head about you and don't drive faster than you should. Now, speaking of driving fast, if you don't drive fast and you're just very gentle on the gas pedal, potentially you can get 20 miles per gallon of gas in the city, 26 out on the highway, and a combined total of 22 miles per gallon. But if this is not enough for you, there's also the SVR, which hopefully we will be reviewing here soon. That's right, the 5-liter 550 horsepower V8 under the hood of one of these F-Paces. What an awesome ride that is bound to be. I've done the same trim basically on a Velar, but I would imagine this might be a little bit more fun than even the Velar was. This model comes with the black exterior pack, so you're going to have that black trim on the front, sides, all over the vehicle basically, including right here on the lower door sill area. Trim around the windows, around the power folding side view mirror. Let me hit the button so you can see that in action. We'll unlock the interior. Turn signal indicator built in. And these are the optional 22-inch wheels. And speaking of that, let's talk a little bit about safety. You have a very large amount of safety features that this model comes with. I'll list a partial list on the screen, but as always, if you want to see the entire list, there's another link down in the description of the video to the Jaguar of Shreveport website for this exact model we're looking at today if you want to know a little bit more. That way we don't talk about too much and make the video too terribly long for you. Here's something I found interesting in reading over the Monroney label, or what is often known as the window sticker. It has a panoramic roof. Now, it wasn't called a sunroof or a moonroof. I've actually had people say, don't call it a moonroof. Just kind of got offended, I guess, at that. So it's called a panoramic roof that does have a sliding portion that you can open up when you're driving down the road if you so desire. Of course, you're going to have that shark fin antenna up there on the top and the roof spoiler right here to kind of finish things off, not only to give this F-Pace a nice look to it that is actually functional in the respect of channeling air over this rear window to try and keep it clean when you're driving down the road, but of course you've got the rear window wiper if you need that. And we'll open up the rear cargo area here via the power rear lift gate. Of course, you're going to have that cargo cover right here that is removable if you wish to use that. You've got the folding rear seats that allow you to maximize your cargo space. And even though there's a lot here, I didn't want to move all of that because there is a lot there under the floor. You're not going to find one of those tire repair kits that we're starting to see in more and more vehicles. There is a spare tire located inside of this rear cargo area if you ever happen to need it. I hope that you don't, but that's a lot more convenient and brings a lot more peace of mind, I believe, than the tire repair kit. And just in the interest of fair reporting, this is what we've got in the back seat. I already showed you that these 60-40 split seats do fold down, maximizing your cargo space. Good view of the panoramic roof here. Not a sunroof and not a moonroof, just a panoramic roof, right? And dual air conditioning vents, and you do have a 12-volt power outlet back here. Don't have anything else besides that, which is a bit of a surprise. But if you wanted to convert that 12-volt to a USB, of course, there are adapters available for that. And even though the front seat on the passenger side here is pretty far back, I still have a reasonable amount of space. Not a ton of room above my head, but I'm still very comfortable nonetheless. I guarantee you, if you have a middle seat passenger back here, they're gonna have plenty of headroom because of this panoramic roof. That is, unless the power shade is deployed forward. Now, let's hop into the front seat and talk about some of the additional changes that were made for 2021. And as we begin our tour here in the front seat, of course, you can see the interior is filled with high-end materials. You've got the heated and cooled performance seat for the driver and passenger. Everything looks very elegant here, very easy to navigate your way around the cabin area here in the front seat. Nice dashboard. I like the graphics there. Of course, your typical steering wheel here, going to have that R Dynamic logo on the bottom of the steering wheel and those steering wheel mounted controls. But one thing I really like here is the size of the shifter paddles. And you're going to notice that you're going to have that plus and minus at the bottom and top of these shifter paddles. Plenty of room no matter where your hands are on the steering wheel. Makes it very easy to change the gears depending on what mode you're driving in. If you want to drive spiritedly, that's going to make it a lot more enjoyable. And one of the biggest and I believe best changes for 2021 is the Pivi Pro system that is now available in the F-Pace. Something that we saw debut with the 2020 version of the Land Rover Defender. And it's basically patterned after a cell phone, if you will, with the way it's designed and the way it functions and the way it works. It's very easy to use. A lot of different features and functionality here that you can go through. Of course, you've got all of your different camera views, and I like the fact that everything is so responsive. The graphics are nice and clear. You can look around the vehicle from any angle, no matter where you are. So if you do happen to go out and maybe do a little light off-roading, it's not made for super serious off-roading, but you could do some off-roading, or maybe you're just driving around in an area that's kind of tight, maybe a tight parking space in a parking lot, and you're wondering, am I going to hit something on one side or the other? Very easy to work your way around and see what is there. I like the fact that you have dynamic here, and it basically has a race helmet above that, so that kind of says a lot about what you have here as far as different settings for the engine, the steering, the suspension. But you also have some options here along the bottom of the screen as well. You've got setup, which is where it's going to automatically default. You've got stopwatch if you want to time yourself depending on what you may be doing. Maybe, like I said, out there driving spiritedly and want to time yourself. You also have a lap timer. That's going to be more for going around on a road course or in circles. The stopwatch will be good for going in a straight line, the drag racing end of things. And if you want to know what what kind of G-force you're pulling as you accelerate down the road. There is the G meter. A lot of really cool features here, and it's very easy to use, very easy to set things up. And you have a few different options here for how you can control the air conditioning and these heated and cooled seats. You can do it through the screen right here. You can also do it down here below. You've got the buttons and the knobs here, and you're going to notice the way that everything is designed, some changes there, whether it's on the knobs for the air conditioning. And when you push that knob in on both sides of the dual zone climate control here, you're going to be able to change the temperature setting of the seat, whether you're using the heat or the cool. It's nice to know that it's there. Very easy to use. Of course, you can sync the dual zone climate control together if you so desire. Everything pretty simple to figure out. Of course, you've got wireless charging right underneath there. And one thing that's also changed is the location of the button for starting and stopping the engine. And if you happen to make the mistake that I've found myself make a couple of times, I don't know why, I'm sure I'm not the only one that's done this, maybe one or two other people have done this as well, but you're in drive, for example. I just put the vehicle into drive. The park button is right behind the shifter right here, which I really like the way that shifter is made to fit your hand fits right around that perfectly. But if you accidentally hit the stop button for the engine, you shut the engine off just like that, it automatically goes into park. Very nice feature. I'm going to start things back up here. And of course, there is the button to the right of the shifter for your mode selection. You can dial your way in left or right depending on what you want to select, or you can actually push that all the way down just like I just did right there and let the vehicle select for you. There are multiple 12-volt power outlets, a couple of USB ports within the console right here. You've got your drink holders, and the lid of the console can be moved back and forth, basically allowing that to be what I call a multitasker. You can use that as the lid for the console and also armrest for the driver and the passenger. And as far as space goes, well, if you had a couple of Vehicle Visionary t-shirts, I think you could probably fit 4 or 5 in there if you folded them just right. Now, let's get out on the road, my very favorite part of the video, for the test drive. But before we do that, here is an exhaust clip. Now that I've given you an exhaust note from the outside, let's do it from the inside and see what you think. Definitely good acceleration, good sound. I like that classic Jaguar exhaust note. The F-Pace definitely won't let you down in that area. Now, what about the overall driving experience? I've read reviews in the past that say the F-Pace has a stiff ride. And there's a little bit of stiffness to it, but honestly, it's not bad. A lot of the time you got to consider who wrote the review or who's making the video review, because it might depend on their other experiences with daily drivers and stuff like that. One person might think it rides really bad, one person might think it rides really great. But let's talk a little bit about cornering here. I'm gonna accelerate through the corner. Let's see how we do. A little bit of body roll, but that's probably more from my inexperience behind the wheel of this car and or this F-Pace, I should say, not being as used to the steering characteristics as I could be. So that probably could be cleaned up a little bit with more experience behind the wheel of this model. But overall, I really am impressed. Steering is good and tight, very responsive. Leather-wrapped steering wheel is very comfortable. And I like the fact that the seats, like I said, these are performance seats. They have enough bolstering to really handle the job of driving spiritedly, especially around corners if you're on a track or whatever the case is, but not so much that the driver and passenger are uncomfortable. I like the view of everything. You have pretty good view through the windshield. Everything's pretty easy to see out of. A little bit of a blind spot in the rear area over my right shoulder, but you know what? With blind spot monitoring, all that good stuff, that's going to really alleviate a lot of those problems. Now, I'm going to do something I don't normally do. I'm going to go into comfort mode here and just see if I can tell the difference. Even though we're not on an overly rough road by any means, this road is very smooth. In fact, I can sure tell the difference in how the engine is acting as far as the power it's putting out, how responsive the gas pedal is. It's actually not nearly as responsive as it was before. So there are some noticeable differences in that area. But even on this smooth stretch of paved road that we're on, I can tell a difference in the ride quality. It does seem to have softened up. So obviously, depending on what driving mode you choose, well, it's going to determine how this model rides. But overall, I must say I'm very impressed. I just would love to get my hands on that SVR model. As far as I know, I believe they do have one coming in to the Jaguar of Shreveport dealership, and we will definitely make a video with that one when it comes in. That will be an adventure, to say the least. To learn more about the model in today's video, visit the link in the description for a detailed comparison between trims and pricing for the vehicle we featured or any other vehicle you are interested in. These pages feature information such as our recommended trim level based on price, value, and features. Thank you for taking the time to watch today's video. We look forward to seeing you next time.